Actually, just a few minutes ago, my brother Jasper and I were talking about that. If we had this thing in one fund, education fund, the way we talk about the housing fund, the way we are talking about even things like SHA, affordable houses fund, if these things could be brought into one fund, given a fund manager to run the education sector, there will be progress in this country. But as long as we have so many, are they called cuts or are they called kitties? They are all trying to run all these things. Then we can be sure we cannot continue with this confusion.
Okay.
Education is the key. When we used to be told when we were young that education is the key, the motto used to be education is the key. Many of us may not have understood what it means. Now, the people in this country who have the money know the importance of education. So they are following up with their children to get the quality education. Our parents who depend on elimu bora, elimu ya bure. Serikali imesema elimu ni bure. So you go for it. Actually, they're ending up with a big road deal. Because education can never be free, can never be cheap. Education is expensive.
And we're just trying to examine the possible funding models that could remove us from this quagmire we're in. One of the proposals was by the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga that probably education should also be a devolved function, be run from the county level. Do you think that could be a possible solution?
Thank you, Fred. Yes, devolving education can be a solution, but then certain aspects of education should not be devolved, like the issue of human resource teachers. That should still remain with the national government, because we've seen from how the health sector, how the nurses and the doctors are suffering in different counties. So we wouldn't wish that to happen to teachers. So the human resource aspects can still be remain at the national level. And then we can have other issues like infrastructure. The county government can construct classrooms within the counties. As of now, they are only allowed by the law to deal with the basic education. So issues of infrastructure can still go within the counties. We have issues of quality assurance that can still go to the county. So that was a good idea from the former Prime Minister. Yeah.
Do you agree that there are other methods probably that would help us ring-fence funding around education that probably we're not looking at now? That the same old model that we've used under 844 and all this may not necessarily work under this new resource-heavy system? It calls for creativity, definitely.
Yes, it calls for creativity and sustainable ways of getting resources. And in the CBE curriculum, teachers and the stakeholders in the education sector are expected to be creative and get resources from the environment. So the teachers and together with the parents are supposed to be sensitized or retrained, like the teachers are supposed to be trained on how to improvise resources so that they can be used during or to provide learners with a very rich learning experience. Say, for example, for areas in urban centers where we have very limited space in terms of land, and one of the subjects taught in the senior schools and even in the junior schools and primary schools level requires land. And what do you do as a teacher? You've got to be creative. Some of the schools, like my school at Kitengela International Schools, what we do, you get buckets, you get bottles that have been used bottles and used buckets, and even cut tires. And you improvise them and grow together with your students. You grow plants there, and in that way, you are creating another source of resource for learning. So there are many ways in which we can, as teachers and as education stakeholders, we can help in getting resources in a sustainable way.
All right. Yes.
I just wanted to add something on that. One of the biggest things that we are seeing, especially regarding funding, is the issue called capitation in schools. We can't talk about anything else before we talk about capitation. As we get into the new year, I want to declare on this show that actually schools, especially seniors, what now we are calling senior schools, did not receive their capitations last year or this year on time. We are moving into next year without having received our capitation. Capitation is the money sent from government to help run schools. Now every child is accounted, is given some money. Boarding schools are around 58,000. Day schools is actually called free day school. The public schools is around 23,000 shillings. Now, that kind of money has not been forthcoming. Now, that is an issue. Anytime you talk about it, you touch the underbelly of the Ministry of Education. They will not even want it to come out. And teachers, especially head teachers, are really suffering. We are receiving, I work for an organization called Kenya Women Teachers Association, a research group. And many head teachers in schools are actually succumbing, some due to pressure, stress, related illnesses, because of debt. Schools closed this year without having received their capitation for second term and third term in full. Some schools have got debts going back. Now, when we go to government and ask for this, they tell us we have ghost schools. So we are still doing something called visibility verification. Now, that is just a gimmick, because surely in this age and time, with all the technology that we have, with the data that we have, is it possible that a school can be having ghost learners? And if it is possible, then it means somebody at the ministry is sleeping. It's not right. So we are talking about going to the new year again with a debt of money from 2 years ago. It is dangerous that we can give money to political parties. ODM and UDA have been claiming money from the exchequer. I was told ODM is asking for 1 or 2 billion shillings, and they'll be given, I'm told, this coming week. But schools, as we speak, are not getting that money. So don't expect quality education from a school that has not received capitation for 2 years. Don't expect teachers in that school or the head teacher to concentrate on curriculum delivery when debtors are chasing him out of his office. Don't expect that child to follow the pathways that we want to go through if you cannot meet the capitation. This country has one big problem: getting the priorities right.
Okay.
And that is where our problem starts.
Let's now consider the issue of human resource, and you had mentioned it earlier, Jasper, that even with that suggestion that devolution could handle